first film was The Meaning of Europe. The idea came to me after class. I went to the library and started writing a script. I really wanted to have somebody talking over an upbeat music track, so I started thinking what was the best way I could represent Europe in my mind. I'd gone to this theatre production the week before, and there was this old woman, and her voice sounded great for the part, but I thought this wasn't very sort of personal to myself, so I scrapped that idea. I wanted to do it very much from my perspective, so I was putting in all the elements that what sort of, when I thought of Europe, what came to mind. Near the end of the video, I sort of, they say I'll describe Europe in 5 words. In my mind, that's the best way. If you ask someone to describe Europe in 5 words, you'll get their meaning of it. At first, I thought I should even go to Europe and like make a video in Europe. I was gonna get all the signs, anything that had a letter on it or a word, and take pictures of it and piece them all together and make my meaning of Europe through the words. As it was a 2-minute video, it was a bit of a long journey to go on and quite expensive. So when I was writing the script, I was trying to think of what was the best way I could do it with the sort of facilities I had. I had my laptop and my iPhone as a camera. So yeah, once I'd started doing the script, it all started sort of coming together, all of these ideas started coming into one, like my meaning of it, something closer to home, something sort of feasibly done. I didn't want to do just a simple Google video on it, just Google pictures, but it ended up being that, and I'm quite happy with it because it does get my meaning of it across. Once I'd done the script, I thought, oh, it'd be great to have the 2 people sort of in conversation, so at the end I end up getting frustrated and tell them to go on there. Just tell them to go to Europe and find their own meaning, because it's impossible to make a video of the meaning of Europe in my mind. It's just your personal meaning, which I thought the video really got across. Me and my friend had sat down and we'd just gone on Google, got the images. We had the iPhone to do the voice recording. I didn't really have any other sound equipment. I thought of getting like a proper mic and everything, but it was just it would have just ruined the video in my mind. It would all have been a bit too much. So the most difficult part of it was sort of finding what motion to put on the pictures. Some of the pictures move, so I was just figuring out what would sort of keep it flowing. I really wanted to keep a nice flow to it. I didn't really do much with the video afterwards. Just played it to the class. I liked it, but I didn't really feel it was worthy of anywhere else. One I feel really represents me well. My second film was the film about local concern. The problem I had with this, I'd say this was the most difficult because I just couldn't think of an original way to have the sound out of sync. I didn't want to make what I thought it was sort of a contrived, cheating way to do it, to sort of have the sound in reverse or sort of just have it literally like out of sync, like a few seconds after the image. I thought that was a bit sort of cheeky. My first few ideas, I was going to do some stairs outside of my house, and if you go out the front door you can't see what's around the corner, and it's terrifying. I couldn't think of a good way to have the sound out of sync, and I wasn't greatly fussed about it. And my second idea was sort of, I was going to play with the idea of how local a concern it was, so I was going to do sort of dying, the fear of dying. Again, I couldn't really think of an original way to have the sound out of sync. I was in bed one night and I couldn't sleep very well. I got to about 4:30 and I've realised since then at 4:30 AM that the planes start going on the way to Heathrow, and when you're trying to sleep they drive you bonkers. So I thought, oh, that's got to be my video. So yeah, the problem that came with this, I'd sort of had the idea to go and talk to people in the estate, sort of see what they think about it. Maybe in a shy person this wasn't a great idea, because I didn't really want to go knocking on just random people's doors in an estate I'd just moved into. It was pretty a daunting prospect. Went out the house one day with just my iPhone and a notebook with 3 or 4 questions on, and just went knocking on people's doors. The problem with the iPhone is it doesn't really look very like professional, just having an iPhone and a book. Like, no one takes you very seriously. If I had some like microphone and stuff, they might have been more inclined, or maybe they'd have been more scared. So I don't know, that was a problem that came with it. For the few people I managed to interview, it worked really well. It was really quick and easy, just asking the questions, just having the phone on record, and they were quite happy to go with it, and it went really smoothly, and the audio quality on the iPhone is great. I didn't really want to show the film to anyone after I'd done it, because out of all of them, this was sort of my least favourite. I had to use Google Images again. Mostly this video really showed me sort of the ease of which you could make a sort of off the hip little documentary of something you were sort of interested in. It really sort of opened that up to me, and like I say, I'd like to use it in the future. It was really sort of inspiring in that sense. But like I say, I didn't really enjoy the video enough to want to sort of get it out there and show it to a lot of people. My third video was the one dealing with a recent political event. I was wondering for ages what I should do with this one, because I don't like watching the news that much. It's all doom and gloom. When I was trying to think of an idea for the video, it happened to be around the time of the presidential elections between Romney and Obama. I watched the debates, and I was just appalled and disgusted at how these two sort of would-be leaders of America were just making quips at each other and making sort of childish digs. It was just ridiculous. It made me quite angry, actually. So I thought, what was the best way to sort of portray the sort of stupidity of it in my mind, how sort of just daft it all was, and I thought the best way to do this was with toys. I had a box of Lego when I was younger. I used to make all sorts of little Lego films, like stop frame films, and the brief was to make the film sort of found footage or animation. So I was going to do it stop frame at first, but it was way too time consuming. I just don't have the patience. At first, I needed to find the characters. I was going to make some tiny faces and print them out and stick them onto the Lego men. But the printer wasn't working, so I eventually found these little sort of army men, and I thought, oh, that was great, because the clip I'd chosen was to do with sort of defence and army and everything like that. For me, it sort of, I guess it would remind the viewer of the fact that sort of these two leaders, like Romney and Obama, are talking about this sort of all of this defence and sort of civilians, sort of the soldiers are sort of forgotten. When I watch the video back, it sort of reminds you sort of actually who they're talking about. I think it's quite powerful in that way. The hardest part in making the video was actually building the set. It took absolutely ages because I had to sort of make it exactly. I really wanted to do the lighting the same, sort of the camera angles the same. Everything was going to be sort of exactly the same, like bit for bit. So building the set was a nightmare. Like all the pieces, just kept falling apart. I had to use deodorant cans and fishing wire and like hooks and all sorts of stuff. The other problem was that I wanted to kind of have this sort of shallow depth of field, which I couldn't get on my iPhone. So I had the Sony Z7. I'd put it really far back. I'd sort of matched up all the angles. But the problem was when I zoomed it in, it just wouldn't pull sharp enough focus. Everything was just slightly out of focus, which was a bit of a nuisance. So what I actually did is I took the lens off the Sony and got an old sort of 35mm sort of 35mm film, like 50mm lens. Sort of held it in front of the Sony camera, so the mount on the lens and the mount on the camera didn't actually fit. So I had to hold the lens in front of the camera, which is why the video shakes a bit. I'd say this is my favourite video, so I would like to submit it to festivals. At first I was worried that I might have trouble with copyright and stuff, because I put a little BBC logo at the top, and I thought that was a good little sort of dig at the fact that this was going to be big world news, and it was just really childish and ridiculous. I really enjoyed the class's reaction to the film. I really thought it prompted all the questions I wanted asking. It really took me back to my childhood doing the video. It reminded me. I really sort of learnt the sort of trials and tribulations of working with little figures and really sort of getting it. It's very different from doing sort of with people and sort of scenery and stuff. It really took me back to when I was little and doing the sort of stop frame animations. So my fourth and final video was to show multiculturalism in one take. I was in Asda one day. I was just walking around, and I hate it. I hate being in there. It's just so, the amount of time I've spent in there, it's just so boring, and you really wanted to make a sort of a long, boring video to sort of try and show that. I had this idea to do a point of view tracking shot from sort of the point of view of the trolley. First idea I had was to put a big sort of camera on a tripod in the trolley, but that was just silly, because I would have got kicked out straight away, because to be a bit more conspicuous. I was going to go to Asda one day and sellotape my iPhone and put the video on and put it on the front of the trolley. I had a route in mind that I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to do the world food and sort of go through the vegetables, but after that I was just sort of just meandering around trying to really focus on each product so everyone could sort of see, sort of really get this feel of like multiculturalism all under one roof. I don't think the film would have been as personal to me if I didn't do it in sort of a supermarket I knew so well as Asda. The amount of time I spent there, like I say, is just awful. I really wanted to. I don't know if the film for me really gets that across. At the end of the video, I ended on a TV. It was sort of to tie in with the module idea, sort of being cinema and everything, sort of really tying with that, like the screen and everything. I'd like to try and enter this film to a festival that dealt with maybe consumerism or globalization, because they're other sort of, for me, like major themes in the video, or this massive supermarket with all these products under one roof. So once I got back in class when I played it, the questions were quite relevant to the video, and sort of that really helped sort of, I felt like I'd actually portrayed what I'd wanted in the video. Yeah, I think in conclusion to all the videos, sort of using the iPhone throughout it really sort of opened up a new world of like filmmaking to me, like not having to carry a camera around and sound equipment and have like 5 or 6 people. You could quickly sort of, if you see something, you can quickly get it, and it really does open up a new sort of area of wanting to do films, really sort of personal, sort of heartfelt films, which I feel like I've really tried to get into each of the films, because they are pretty sort of personal subjects to me, even though they were the questions that had been set on the module.